Hey guys, welcome back to Once Upon a Tiny Farm. My name's Drew. In today's video, I want to talk about a plant that I have planted all over different parts of my farm this year. A very cool permaculture plant, and that is comfrey. And I didn't even know what comfrey was probably more than a year ago, but when I started watching videos about what comfrey can do for your soil and other ways you could use the leaves, I got really excited. I ordered some seeds, so I started all of my comfrey from seed. And in this video, I want to talk about 3 ways that I'm using comfrey on my small farm. So let's get into it. So this plant right here is comfrey. It has these nice big green leaves, and it produces these pretty little flowers that are very attractive to bees. So it's great for pollinators, which is a reason why I planted them. Here, I have them on the end of these 50-foot rows here on my farm, and I've planted them all the way across here on the end of the rows. And I've also planted comfrey at the front of my farm where I have my fruit trees, and I planted them at like the base of my fruit trees. And the reason that I put these on my farm is because these are called accumulators. So what they do, comfrey sends a very deep taproot down deep into the soil, and it brings up nutrients from deep down in the ground and pulls them up to the surface. So this plant is improving my soil just by being here and existing, and that's really, really cool. So that's one reason why I have the comfrey, is to improve my soil. It's bringing nutrients from deep in the ground up to the surface in these leaves. So that's why I planted it everywhere. But there's more that I could do with these leaves. So right here is where I have comfrey down at the base of an apple tree here. So I did that for 2 reasons. One is because I've had trouble getting apples here. This should be producing apples, and I think I might need to prune this quite a bit because I have a lot of upward growth, and I want more fruit production. And I also think these weren't getting pollinated well enough, so the flowers there will increase bees and pollination and will help. And so that's one reason to help increase pollination with my apple tree. The other thing is that not only is this bringing more fertility up to the soil, but I can pull these leaves and use these leaves as a mulch. So I can put these leaves down all around the base of this tree and create a green mulch. And as these leaves, these comfrey leaves break down, it's going to, all those nutrients that this plant mined from deep in the soil, this is in these leaves, and these leaves are going to break down on the soil and put that right back into this tree and feed this apple tree. And so I could use these leaves as a green mulch, and that is so cool. And the comfrey is such a powerful plant that you could pick it, I've been told, up to 3 times in a season. And you could even cut this down far more and leave just pieces of the root in the ground, and it'll still come back in the spring. So that's really cool. So this is what I'm going to be doing around my other fruit trees. I have them at each of my fruit trees: plums, apples, cherry trees. And I'm going to apply this leaves as a green mulch and hope that I get some apples and some fruit next year. So I'm hopeful that that will happen next year. So now we're talking about permaculture and how this is a great permaculture plant, the comfrey leaves. Another way that I could use these leaves is as a feed for my animals. There's actually protein in these leaves, and my chickens can eat this. So you see here, I have my tiller here. I have my 2 original remaining chickens, Rhode Island Reds, here in this chicken tractor, and I'm using them right now to till up these rows that got overtaken by weeds, and maybe that's not the best thing. They're just gonna till in all these weed seeds. But I'm getting a flame weeder for to make all stale seed beds coming up for next year. But I'm going to use this as a feed for my chickens. Actually haven't moved them yet today, so I'm gonna put this on the ground. I'm gonna put down the camera and move these chickens forward a little bit and give them some new ground to work with and let them chomp down on those nutritious leaves for a little snack. There you go. I'll have some new bugs and new things to eat in here. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work. Oh, made a nice tilt to this soil. Good job. Now, one last way that I can use these comfrey leaves on my farm is as a fertilizer. So I can make a fertilizer with these leaves by ripping them off the plant and filling up a bucket. I might do this about halfway and then cover them completely with water. And I will let this sit for at least a month, maybe longer, until it all breaks down into probably be a smelly mush. And what I'll do is strain out the liquid into container, some kind of container or bottle, and I can dilute that liquid and spray it onto my plants as a fertilizer. Now, this will be a very nitrogen-rich liquid fertilizer, so you might want to be careful if you were to try this on certain plants. Too much nitrogen would not be good. For instance, on carrots, if I were to spray a very nitrogen-rich liquid fertilizer, I would probably get some very intense green leafy growth, but very small roots. So that's not what we want with carrots. Carrots need more phosphorus, which will help them grow deeper into the ground and bigger root vegetable. For a lot of things, you could use a nitrogen fertilizer, and that would be great. Another thing about these leaves is they have these little hairs on them. They don't hurt, but they itch a little bit when you're using bare hands. I probably should be wearing gloves to do this, but I just want to get this out. Actually, they do kind of hurt if you touch them the wrong way, the bigger they are. So you probably want to wear gloves to do this, but I am just going to keep filling this up. Ow! That is really, that actually really hurt. I might get some gloves to finish doing this. All right, now I'm just going to cover this in a liquid, and then I'm going to put a lid on it and just let it sit for at least a month until all this green leafy matter breaks down. And then I will strain it out and store it as a fertilizer for next year. So these comfrey leaves are also creating me a source of fertilizer for my farm, and that's really, really cool. And this is exciting. This is the first time I'm actually doing that. All right, I overfilled that bin a little bit with greens, so I'm gonna throw these to my other chickens. Let me see what they do. Yeah, you can eat that, fellas. That has protein. That's awesome. So that's good to see that they'll eat it. Well, these guys will eat anything. And this will give them an additional source of protein. So that's awesome. And this will keep growing year after year after year. one last thing I want to say about the comfrey is, if you're considering planting comfrey, be very cautious about where you put it, where you plant it, because once you put these in the ground and they establish some deep roots, they're going to come back there year after year after year, unless you dig every single piece of that root fragment out of the ground. So be very intentional about where you place them, because they're going to probably come back forever unless you really get all of that root matter out of the ground. So that's just something to consider, but a really great plant. And I think it would be a great border plant. I guess that's kind of what I've done here, like along the ends of my rows as kind of a border. I think these would be a great border plant along the edges for like a hedgerow in between rows, or along the edges, like I have a wooded edge here. I think comfrey all the way along the edge would prevent grass from creeping into my rows, because these would just block all of that grass from coming into where I'm growing my food. So yeah, just another thing to consider. All right, that's gonna wrap up this video talking about 3 ways I'm using comfrey on my small farm. Hope you enjoyed it. One more thing before I go. I think I'm going to be starting a newsletter where I send out emails. Probably gonna start out doing it once a month. Just talking about things on my mind and everything that's happening on my farm. So it'll be kind of more of an intimate, like personal journal type of thing that I'll send out once a month, talking about everything that's going on here on our farm. Anyway, if any of you are interested in following along with what we're doing and you like what we're doing, click the link in the description box below. I'm going to put a link to our newsletter, and you can sign up. Just put your name and your email address, and I'm going to start doing that for the months over winter and the months to come, and I'm excited about that. So if I ever start, doing different things, you guys that follow on our email list will be the first to know what's going on here. And things like comfrey, I'm actually considering selling some of the root as cuttings in the future. So that would be something that I would mention in my emails, and you guys would be the first ones. If you wanted to get some of our cuttings from our comfrey, you guys would be the first to know and get the first crack at getting some of those cuttings for your own backyard gardens or farms. So that would be kind of cool. So anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.